Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our planning / regular council meeting for Tuesday, December 19th. I'll call this meeting to order at 9:43 a.m. and we'll start off with the territorial land acknowledgement. Before our meeting gets underway, I would like to formally recognize the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the township of Alma-Calderman is located on the Mississaugan-Ashaninbenk territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississaugan-Ashaninbenk. The township of Alma-Calderman respectively acknowledges that the Mississaugan Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and the integrity for generations to come. And I'll just go over the procedural bylaw to make sure everybody understands the different parts of the meeting. Procedural bylaw identifies how and when members of the public may take part in council meetings. Regular council meetings are open to the public and they are encouraged to attend. To speak at a regular meeting, a request for a delegation form must be submitted to the clerk. These forms are available on the website. Public meetings are open to the public. They allow members of the public to address council without the need to pre-register and request. An example of a public meeting is a planning meeting like the one we're having today, where land use planning applications are reviewed and council seeks input from the public. Closed sessions may occur during a council meeting to discuss confidential matters as identified in the Municipal Act, Section 239. Members of the public are not permitted in these meetings. Next, we have the disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none, that'll be recorded. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the disclosure over today that has to do with agenda item 13.1 that has to do with the library quarterly third report, financial report, and the reason they're holding through purposes. And all access to
welcome. That'll be recorded in the minutes. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. Understand there are a couple of addendums, at least one. And I'll start off with the first one. This is a council resolution. Be it resolved that the agenda of the planning regular council session of Tuesday, December 19, 2023 be approved as amended to include the noted addendum of the republishing council agenda, including items 9-1, 16-4, and 19-1. And further be it resolved that an additional item be added to the agenda, being an item that was considered at the December 12, 2023 council meeting regarding the Lower Trent Conservation Authority Memorandum of Understanding. Can I move in a second for all that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion's carried. Next, I need a motion to adjourn to the Land Division Committee or the Committee of Adjustment meeting. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman, being a Land Division Committee of Adjustment, adjourn to the Land Division Committee of Adjustment meeting for the purposes of hearing consent applications at 9:47 a.m. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. We're going to move on to 6. And we have, first of all, consent application. This application is PHEW Incorporated. The agent is Elner Olmsted. The application is AH192023 and AH202023. On concession 4, part lot 4 in the geographically in Haldeman. It's regarding a lot addition and creation of one vacant residential lot. Tracy, are you ready to take us through this?
Yes, thank you. There are two applications, AH-19 and AH-20-2023. AH-19-2023 is to sever a parcel of land for a lot addition that will be added to 1138 Inglis Road, approximately 0.397 hectares that contains a farm building that was originally part of that property before being severed to create 3326 Shelter Valley Road in the 70s. AH-20-2023 is to sever an approximate 0.508 hectare parcel of land for the creation of a vacant rural residential lot from an approximately 1.55 hectare rural residential property. The subject property is located at 3326 Shelter Valley Road, east of Inglis Road. There are rural residential lots and farm properties on either side of Shelter Valley Road. The subject lands are designated rural and aggregate in the township official plan and rural areas in the county official plan. Section 1.1.5.2C of the PPS permits residential development on rural lands. The Northumberland County official plan, which was approved after the Alma-Caldeman official plan, does not identify the area as a resource area for aggregates. Should be noted that the aggregate designation in Alma-Caldeman's official plan was applied to lands with the potential for those resources. And since the designation was not carried forward in the county plan, it's likely the potential is limited. The area designated aggregate is in the vicinity of the subject lands. In the vicinity of the subject lands is already occupied by residential development, which would limit the feasibility of establishing an aggregate use. Both the proposed severed and retained lots subject to AH-2023 have frontage on Shelter Valley Road, a year-round municipally maintained road. Both severed and retained lots are large enough to accommodate private services, and comments from Northumberland County and Septic Inspection Services indicated that they have no objection. An MDS calculation was performed for an existing livestock barn on 1138 Inglis Road. A minimum setback of 93 meters or 305 feet is required to the proposed severed lot, and which is well over the setback at 155 meters or 575 feet. So it does conform, the proposal conforms with the MDS requirements. The proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms with the growth plan, the county official plan, and the Alma-Caldeman official plan. The subject property is zoned rural residential, which permits the proposed use. In addition to the conditions, there was a condition, the standard conditions, there was a condition requiring revision of the lot frontage to meet the minimum requirement of 45 meters. I did speak with the applicant ahead of the meeting, and she is accommodating to do that with it rather than getting a minor variance for the reduced frontage. No objections were received from the circulated departments and agencies, and there were no submissions received from the public. Staff are recommending approval of the applications subject to standard conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll read the resolution and then we'll open it to the public. Be it resolved that application AH-19-2023 and AH-20-2023 by PHEW Incorporated, Eleanor Olmsted, to sever a parcel of land for a lot addition and to sever a parcel for the creation of one vacant rural residential lot at 3326 Shelter Valley Road, part of Lot 4, Concession 4, geographically in the township of Haldeman, are approved, subject to the following conditions. One, that a registered survey for the severed parcels be submitted to the township. Number 2, that an electronic copy of the boundary plan of survey, a closed polygon vector file of the part boundaries shown on the reference plan is to be provided in spatially referenced Autodesk DWG Windows readable format to the satisfaction of the township. It is recommended the applicant's Ontario Land Survey consultant with the County of Northumberland GIS section to confirm acceptable standards and formatting. Number 3, that the severed parcel subject to AH 19-203-23 be deemed as a lot addition to the recipient property, and the applicant's lawyer submit an undertaking to register a consolidation on title, given effect to the lot addition. Number 4, that the applicant's lawyer submit a legal opinion verifying the lot addition lands will be merged on title with the recipient parcel under the Planning Act. Number 5, that a draft transfer for the severed parcels be submitted to the township. Number 6, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. Number 7, that the $11,813.38 development charge for the severed lot subject to AH-22023 be paid to the township of Allen-McAlderman, and that the $1,500 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the township of Allen-McAlderman for AH-20-2023. That the frontage for the severed lot subject to AH-20-2023 be revised to conform to a minimum lot frontage regulation found in section 7-2-2 of zoning bylaw 19/2019, or apply for and receive a minor variance for the reduced frontage. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Deputy Mayor Silver, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Mrs. Olmsted, do you have a comment or question?
Very happy that it's being approved. Just so you understand the reason, the bar back the property.
You want to stand up by the mic, please?
Sure. The barn, which is no longer a barn on the back of the property, is inaccessible from Shelter Valley Road, but it's accessible from Inglis Road. So that's why I wanted to do the lot line adjustment and make the severance.
Good. Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to make any further comments? Seeing or hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Good seeing you, Terry. Merry Christmas to you as well. And next we have an application by Lewis Jonathan. The agent is Frank Blake. The application is AH-21-2023, concession 4, part lot 8, geographically in Allenwick. Recreation of vacant rural residential lot. Tracy, please go ahead.
Thank you. The proposal is to sever a 0.405 hectare parcel of land for the creation of a rural residential lot from an approximate 6.02 hectare rural residential property. The property is located at 6219 Share Point Road on the east side, north of Ingham Road. Rice Lake is located to the west of Share Point Road. There are cottages and tourist establishments located to the northwest. There's a subdivision located to the north, and there are larger rural lots located to the east and south. The property is designated rural and shoreline in the Allen-McAlderman official plan. The proposed lot is located completely within the rural designation, and it is designated rural areas in the county's official plan. Section 1.1.5.2C of the provincial policy statement permits residential development on rural lands, including lot creation that is locally appropriate. Both the severed and retained lots will have frontage on Share Point Road, a year-round municipally maintained road. They are large enough to accommodate the requisite private services, and comments from Northumberland County Septic Inspection Services indicated that they do not have records of on-site sewage system for existing dwelling on the retained parcel, and conditions have been included to determine the adequacy of those services. In compliance with the proposal is in compliance with the provincial policy statement, the township's official plan, and the county's official plan and the growth plan. The property is zoned rural in the township of Almac zoning bylaw 19-2019. The severed lot will not meet the minimum required lot frontage and lot area for the RU zone. It will meet the minimum requirements for the rural residential zone, and therefore will need to be rezoned to comply. No objections were received from the Public Works Department, the Northumberland County, or the Lower Trent Conservation Authority. Detailed comments from Lower Trent Conservation Authority will be provided to the applicant as they are advised that the subject lands are within Ontario Regulation 16306 and will require a permit from them for development. Alderville First Nation did advise that an archaeological assessment is required since the proposed lot is within 300 meters of Rice Lake, and they request involvement in the stage 1 archaeological process. I'll provide their comments so the applicant has their contact information. Since the writing of the report, we have received 2 submissions from residents, and I'll provide a summary of those concerns related to planning only. So the first submission came from Cyan Hines, who is immediately south of the proposed property. The concerns include the location on a blind corner. They feel it's a dangerous point of the road, and that historically severances have been rejected. I'm not sure of the history on that from the planning department. They indicate the applicant doesn't reside in the house and are concerned about maintaining the integrity of the rural property in the rural community. I can note to that point that there is a property standards bylaw if someone is concerned about the maintenance of a property. They were asked about the intention of the severed lot and are concerned that it will be used for Airbnb. We do have regulations associated with short-term rental in Almac Haldeman, so that can be addressed with that concern. The township has previously ruled that approvals could not be granted for a property that hadn't been under ownership within 3 years. That's probably related to policy that's in the official plan. I spoke with the previous planner, as I have noticed myself that hadn't been implemented in every case. So it's not grounded in provincial policy or planning framework. So it hadn't been something that had been implemented consistently. The neighbor also noticed that they operate an alpaca farm and support agritourism activities. They're concerned with the potential of interference with the farming operation and harm to the animals. There's not a livestock facility on the property to date. Therefore, we did not need to calculate MDS requirements. If that's a proposal in the future, we'll have to look at that. In regards to the concern about the blind corner, Public Works did look at the location of the proposed lot. The speed limit has been reduced to 50 kilometers, and through entrance permit requirements, they may ask for some vegetation removal. Another submission came in from a property owner on the west side of the road. They indicated that they had owned land in specifically this location in the past. Their family had owned it and felt that there may have been an agreement that was involved with the purchase of the property with specific requirements regarding 100 feet lot frontage, which I believe the lot is maintained, the proposed lot would maintain a single family dwelling only, a minimum size of building, and building a code approvals be adhered to. Those are all requirements that would be addressed through zoning and building code requirements, unless they can provide documentation of a registered agreement. Today's standards would apply. They disagree with the proposal. They are concerned about potential Airbnb. They are concerned with the road access and the driveway being on a dangerous curve. They noted that the speed limit dropped from 80 to 50, but cars still do not adhere to the speed limit, or vehicles do not adhere to the speed limit. They're concerned about both oncoming and ongoing traffic exiting from the proposed driveway. They indicated that the property is located on a high water table near wetlands and Rice Lake. And as noted, it is regulated and they will be required to get permits from the Conservation Authority. They're concerned there could be unconfined artesian wells on the property, and they feel that Lower Trent should be consulted, which they were in this case. So that summarizes the concerns that were provided. I believe some of the residents may be on the line and can provide additional commentary. Detailed comments were received from Lower Trent. I think I mentioned earlier in regard to the regulation, and we will pass those on to the applicant for their information. Alderville First Nation advised that an archaeological assessment is required since the proposed lot is within 300 meters of Rice Lake, and they request involvement in the stage 1 process. We are recommending approval of the proposal as it is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It generally complies with the growth plan and maintains the intent of the county OP and the township involvement official plan. In addition to the standard conditions of approval, it's recommended that the applicant apply for and receive a zoning bylaw amendment. The county has asked that they retain a licensed sewage system installer to locate and investigate the existing septic system for acceptable operation and maintenance to the satisfaction of the county. They have asked for a site plan to confirm the location and size of the existing private septic system. They have asked for confirmation from the licensed the licensed sewage system installer where the mobile home park septic system is located from the subject property to ensure that it doesn't encroach on the subject property. That's in regards to the mobile home park that is to the northwest of the site. And again, as mentioned earlier, that an archaeological assessment be prepared by a qualified professional and submitted for review, and that the applicant provide acknowledgement and acceptance of the assessment from the Ministry of Citizenship and Multiculturalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions or comments from council? I just have one because I'm not exactly sure. You mentioned the existing sewage plot. Is that going to stay with the property, or is that on the retained?
So the county is asking for confirmation as to where it is exactly on the property to ensure that it doesn't conflict with the location of the proposed lot. The dwelling is quite a distance from the proposed lot, so I would expect that it wouldn't conflict. But they would like that confirmation and confirmation that it's working appropriately. I assume if there's an issue identified, they would likely be required to make improvements and adjustments.
Thank you. Well, further questions, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the application AH 21-2023 to sever a parcel of land for the creation of one vacant rural residential lot at 6219 Sheerpoint Road, part of Lot 8, Concession 4, geographically in the Township of Alnwick, is approved subject to the following conditions. That a registered survey for the severed parcels be submitted to the township. Number 2, that an electronic copy of the boundary plan of survey / a closed polygon vector file on the part boundaries shown on the reference plan to be provided in spatially referenced Autodesk DWG Windows readable format to the satisfaction of the township. It is recommended that the applicant's Ontario Land Surveyor consultant with the County of Northumberland GIS section to confirm accepted standards and formatting. Number 3, that a draft transfer for the severed parcels be submitted to the township. Number 4, that the tax account for the subject property be paid up to date. Number 5, that the $11,813.38 development charge for the severed lot subject to AH 21-2023 be paid to the Township of Alderman. Number 5, that the $1,500 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the Township of Alderman for AH 21-2023. That a zoning bylaw amendment be in effect for the severed parcels pursuant to the Planning Act. Number 8, that the applicants retain a licensed sewage system installer to locate and investigate the existing septic system for acceptable operation and maintenance to the satisfaction of the County of Northumberland. Number 9, that the applicant submit a site plan to the satisfaction of County of Northumberland, confirming the location and size of the existing private septic system. Number 10, that the applicant provide confirmation to a licensed sewage system installer where the mobile home park septic system is located from the subject property to ensure that it does not encroach onto the subject property, and that an archaeological site assessment be prepared by a qualified professional, an archaeologist, and submitted for review. The application must provide acknowledgement of acceptance of the assessment from the Ministry of Citizen and Multiculturalism. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Councillor Ainsworth and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any questions from the public or comments from the public? Seeing none. Any further questions from council? Go ahead.
Just to clarify, they both asked questions about the visibility at the entrance, and you said that Public Works has taken a second look at, and they're going to require some tree removal. Is that my understanding?
That's correct. It is located at a bend. We questioned it as well earlier when they were looking at severing the property, and Public Works has looked at the site multiple times to ensure that they're comfortable with the location of the access. And in conversations with them yesterday, they mentioned that through the entrance permit, they could ask for vegetation removal to improve the sight lines.
I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. The next one is item 7.1, and it's the agenda title is 2805818 Ontario Incorporated, Agent Nabel de Silva, MV012023, 7th Line Road, Lot 18, Concession 7, and geographically in the Township of Alnwick, former Alnwick. Go ahead, Trace.
Okay, thank you. The property is located at number 6 7th Line Road. It is the Wildwood Camp. It's operated as a rental cottage establishment with 9 cottages. The owner has been working on upgrading facilities on the site. And through discussions with the former chief building official, the applicant was advised of the need for a minor variance. Zoning compliance is necessary in order for the applicant to be able to obtain a building permit to address expansions that have occurred and are proposed. The expansion to the shed is identified as a garage on the survey provided by DFP surveyors dated June the 23rd, 2022. There are photos in the report that depict the building in 2013 prior to the addition and photos from October 2023 that depict the addition. The chief building official advises that a permit is required and the structures will be needing to be attached in order to meet the Ontario Building Code requirements, as the addition is too close to the existing cottage to meet spatial separation requirements. The subject property is located on Rice Lake on the north side of Parker Drive, where it intersects the 7th line. There are tourist establishments and cottages surrounding the property. Location of the structures subject to the proposed minor variance are located within the Oak Ridges Moraine designation and the official plan. It's countryside rural as per Schedule C1. Due to the proximity of the shoreline of Rice Lake, Section 2.1 natural heritage and 3.1 natural hazards of the PPS must be considered. Development adjacent to natural features, including fish habitat, must demonstrate that there are no negative impacts. Since the area of the subject property since the area subject to the proposed variance is within an area that has already been cleared and developed, impacts are not expected. Lower Trent Conservation Authority have advised that the property is impacted by the Rice Lake flood hazard and portions of the lands are regulated. The area proposed for the expansion and the variance are confirmed to be outside of the flood hazard. So Lower Trent has determined that the application is consistent with Section 3.1 of the provincial policy statement. So based on that, it is consistent with the PPS. Policy 6.2 of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan does not prevent the expansion of an existing building or structure on the same lot where it was established prior to that plan's existence, provided that the applicant demonstrates that there will be no change in the use and that the expansion will not adversely affect the ecological integrity of the planned area. The application is for the development of a legal non-conforming use. The proposed development is a building accessory to the principal legal non-conforming resort land use. As such, it can be considered within the policies of the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan, as it would not create any additional ecological adverse impacts. The county official plan and the township of Alnwick Haldeman's official plan permits for the continuation, expansion, and enlargement of legally existing uses or variations to similar uses, provided that there are no adverse impact on present uses or surrounding lands or implementation of the provisions of the plan. It regards the MDS formula and may be subject to any conditions that could be contained in the township's official plan. The county is under the understanding that the proposal will not accommodate an additional residence. It is in proximity to a flood line adjacent to Rice Lake. Because it does maintain adequate distance away from the floodplain to the satisfaction of Lower Trent and the township, the proposed development can be considered by the policies of the county's official plan. Section 11.1.4.3 of the county's official plan allows for the continuation where uses were in existence prior to November 17th, 2001, which is the date the Oak Ridges Moraine Plan came into effect. The planning, or sorry, that was from our official plan, not the county's official plan. Both the Planning Act and the Township official plan sets out 4 tests for evaluating minor variance applications. The 4 tests are that the variance must be minor, it must be desirable and appropriate for the development or use of the land. The variance must maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, and the variance must maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan. In the township's official plan, although the property does not meet the use permissions in the countryside rural designation, the use is considered legal non-conforming, also known as grandfathering. It was established prior to the current zoning bylaw, and the property was zoned recreational commercial under the Township of Almwick zoning bylaw 1001-73, which did permit the tourist establishment. Since that use was established prior to November 17th, 2001, and the expansion will serve that established use, it is consistent with the official plan for the continuation of an existing use. Section 4.11 of the zoning bylaw does permit for the continuation of existing uses which were lawfully used prior to the date of the passing of the bylaw. The Oak Ridges Moraine Countryside Zone does not contain set regulations in terms of setbacks and lot coverage. Since the use was previously permitted, it does comply with the use complies with the current zoning bylaw. The proposal is seeking variance from section 4.11.2 of the zoning bylaw, which does not permit the expansion of a non-conforming building or structure unless the use is currently permitted. Section 45.2A authorizes the Committee of Adjustment to consider enlargement or extensions of buildings and structures if it was lawfully used for a purpose prohibited by the bylaw the day it was passed, and that comes from the Planning Act. The proposed variance must maintain the intent of the zoning bylaw, which permits the continuation of legally established uses. We did not receive any objection from circulated departments and agencies, and detailed comments will be passed on to the applicant. One property owner did inquire about the application since the writing of the report. They had questions related to a permit about another structure on the property. The variance is required to permit the expansion of the existing garage or storage shed to the cottage. It would bring the site into zoning compliance, which would enable the issuance of a building permit. In reviewing the application, the 4 tests of a minor variance have been considered, and it's been determined that the variance is minor. The expansion to the building will not further reduce the established front yard setbacks of the existing buildings. The variance is desirable and appropriate for the land. The existing use is permitted and is consistent with surrounding land uses. The general intent of the official plan has been maintained. The policies do provide for the continuation of existing uses, and the general intent of the zoning bylaws maintained. Existing buildings, structures, and uses are permitted to continue. Conditions of approval are recommended to address the wooden patio. It must be located completely within the property limits. It is unclear on the site map provided in the survey as to whether that patio is within the property limits. If it does overlap those limits, modifications may be required. The applicant must apply for and obtain a building permit by June 30th, 2024. And the permit must provide for the attachment of the structure to the cottage in order to meet spatial separation requirements in the interior building code. Based on the variance maintaining the intent of the official plan, the county's official plan, the zoning bylaw, and is consistent with the provincial policy statement and the Oak Ridges Moraine Conservation Plan, we are recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions to council for Tracy?
I have one, but it might be better after you've read the motion.
Read the motion, okay. Be resolved that the application MB 012022 by 2805818 Ontario Incorporated for Novell de Silva for a property legally described as 6-7 Line Road, located Plan 50, Lot 228, Concession 7, Lot 18, geographically in the Township of Alnwick, to permit the expansion of a legal non-conforming building as identified in red on the site map prepared by Hemlock Design, dated June 16, 2023, be approved subject to the following conditions being satisfied. That the applicant confirms that the wooden patio is located within the property limits. If necessary, appropriate modifications are to be made subject to the approval of the building and planning departments. And 2, that the applicant applies for and obtains a building permit by June 30th, 2024. The permit must provide for the attachment of the garage to the cottage. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor O'Neill and seconded by Councillor Booth. Open for discussion. Go ahead, Mayor Catherine.
So this addition or whatever improvement was made and no building permits or anything were sought at the time. So, and I'm confident from what you said that moving forward that, you know, that situation will not occur again. But are there any other buildings within that site that also have had work done that hasn't been confirmed that it's in compliance with building code?
I believe they have a permit in for a cottage that they've been upgrading. I'm not aware of the details about that permit and whether it's in compliance with all of the codes. I believe it's still being reviewed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's important that buildings are maintained, but it's also important it's in compliance. So,
Councillor Booth.
Just a question for you, the planner. In your report, Tracy, it says if the deck overlaps the property limit, modifications may be required. And then what we're actually voting on to say they are made. So I just want to make sure that we say that it must be made, right? That if we find out that that part is not maybe required, we're going to require that it has to be.
Right.
So that's the way what we're voting on it. Am I correct saying that it will be?
We can adjust that if like.
The resolution, if necessary, appropriate modifications are to be made. So that sounds like it must be, right? Or
That's
change that it must be made.
I think the wording of the recommendation is stronger than the discussion in the report. It says are to be made. So that's not written like it would be optional. If the word may was used, it would be more of an option. But yes, if the structure is over the property line, they will be required to adjust, whether it be removal or relocation.
Any further questions or comments? I've got one anyways. On page 7 of 9, Tracy, there's a proposed future dwelling. On the top of the triangle.
Right.
That has nothing to do with this, does it?
No, that's not part of the application. The only structure is the structure colored in red or on the drawing of the site plan.
Okay.
And I have had discussions with the applicant on multiple occasions to let them know that that isn't being considered here, and if other modifications are done, they're going to need to check with us.
Okay. This being a private road makes it a little bit different too, doesn't it? Because it's so close to the road. We can't do nothing about that. Any further questions? Are there questions or comments from the audience regarding this application? Seeing none? All in favor? The motion is carried. I'd like to go to the new or the added item per the amended agenda. We're calling this 7-2, Lower Trent Conservation Authority Memorandum of Understanding and previously approved bylaw. Whereas council considered and approved the memorandum of understanding with the Lower Trent Conservation Authority and passed a bylaw at its December 12, 2023 meeting. And whereas Councillor Ainsworth is the appointed board member of the Lower Trent Conservation and has updated information for council. And whereas a council member may move a motion to reconsider a decided matter at the next scheduled meeting, being today, December 19, 2023, per the required conditions of section 13-18 of the procedural bylaw. Therefore, be resolved that, and we haven't got the final resolution, part of the resolution done yet, but I think I would ask Councillor Ainsworth if you have any comments on this. Oh, we'll need a mover and a seconder first. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? This is for the discussion. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Mike, go ahead, please.
Through Mayor Lovell. So we had our meeting at Lower Trent Conservation and about the levy, the 18.9% increase plus the category 1 or 2 and 3. So would have brought that up to probably close to 30% increase on the levy. So with the weighted vote, it got turned down, and that brought up another discussion on what we can do to make it work. So they ended up dropping one of the options, which was the maintenance tech, which would have brought it down to 13.3% from the 18.9. And then it also, of course, when you add the category 2 and category 3. So the other question that I asked for Councillor Booth had inquired about is the category 3, is it voluntary or is it mandatory? It is a voluntary option. So for Councillor Booth's request, I brought that back up in an email to see if this could be discussed again, whether we want to continue with the MOU as it was voted in the last meeting, or whether we want to have another look at it and talk about the category 3 part of the MOU.
Okay. Any questions or thoughts on this?
Through you, Mayor, I wonder if we can, I don't have it in front of me. Do you have it pulled up, Greg or Tracy, at all, what the category 3 criteria was? I know it's
through your worship, Tracy could probably answer it. I don't have it. The only thing I have it says is category 3 is additional services that the Conservation Authority may provide and requires an agreement. And I believe it was, Tracy, you can refresh me, had to do with visiting the schools.
Yeah, so Rhonda Bateman did provide a slide and email on the 12th of December that I forwarded on. I believe everyone would have received it. So there's some slides that show monitoring within the township of Almac. It's hard to count the dots, but there's at least, I would say, 18 to 20 monitoring stations. I could be wrong on the exact amount. They've got some overlap on the dots within.
Excuse me, Trace, are those all in Almac ultimately?
Yes.
Those 18 to 20, thank you.
Yeah, so they are monitoring stream temperature, base flow, benthic, which I think in the last meeting I explained was bugs that they can gauge the quality of or potential pollutants, surface water, and provincial ground monitoring programs. In terms of youth education, they do have programs that schools can utilize. I didn't get details on what exactly, if there were programs that were uptaken in Almac Haldeman, but they can potentially do more outreach on getting those schools engaged. There was the Tri-County Children's Water Festival, and Roseneath Public School did participate in that program. And they do, I was chatting with Rhonda Bateman, and she said they do reach at like the Hastings was plowing match that a lot of our residents would participate in doing outreach at that event. So that's kind of a high level overview of what the category 3 programs are in this township. They are watershed wide. When you look at a watershed, you're looking at the entire area and not breaking it down by communities per se.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Mayor Catherine.
I'm not sure we should be reconsidering this, but I am especially concerned that this is a governance issue for long-term or for the Lower Trent Conservation. It is up to that conservation authority and the people who are on that board and the staff there to decide what is most needed and how they can best serve us. At last meeting, we did hold a vote and say, yes, this council does need and wants to utilize the services of Lower Trent. The battles of how that should be carried out most effectively needs to be within Lower Trent, and we shouldn't be trying to do governance from here.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And I'm add to Councillor Ainsworth that he advised the CAO at Lower Trent to reach out to make sure that our schools are aware of these programs. And I think, and we maybe do have more education, what maybe on the website or something, just like I think this is a governance issue, and we have our rep here that any more suggestions.
Through you, Mayor Logo. I think I just kind of want to point this back to what we had spoke about at the last council meeting. It was to investigate whether or not we needed level 3. And Tracy was to reach out to Lower Trent, or whoever reached out to Lower Trent, to see what that was. I don't think what Councillor Ainsworth is asking for has anything to do with what we're speaking about right now. It has to do with what was the resolution that was made at last council meeting with respect to what Councillor Booth brought forward, which was whether or not we needed level 3 or whether we could go without. That's what I remember the conversation being about. And Councillor Ainsworth, through you, Mayor, if that is correct, could you please restate that to keep council on track?
Yes, through you, Mayor. That's exactly what it was. Because you know, with the Councillor Booth's request that was a specific question that I asked to make sure it was voluntary and mandatory. And do we need that category 3 in the township?
Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
I guess to speak into this, since I was the one that I didn't want to go with category 3 is, and I think we looked at this to say, you mentioned, Tracy, that the only school that was involved was Roseneath. And I was willing to go along with what we voted. It's been voted, and I'm hoping that this year we will monitor it and we will find out how many schools exactly are being involved. And I believe in the agreement we signed, and Nancy, you can confirm, after a year, we can take a look at it. And next year we could say, guess what? We don't want anything to do with category 3 because you're involving one school. That thing they had in Hastings and everything. And even the monitoring of the streams and stuff like that is not something that's mandated, that has to be done. So I'm willing to let it go for the year. We voted on it. That was fair. Council decided. And then next year we take a look at, hopefully Tracy, when they come back to us or whatever, we'll look to see how many schools are involved in that and whether it's worth our while paying the extra percentage. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention a couple of items in terms of this motion to reconsider, just for the public's information. So in terms of the MOU that council did consider at the last meeting on December 12th, and they voted to go ahead and approve it along with the bylaw, that MOU has not yet been signed off by Lower Trent Conservation. It was to be done prior to December 31st for to start on January 1st, but actually it's not yet a legal binding agreement because Lower Trent has not signed it. So I just wanted to make council aware of that. And per the procedural bylaw, just to confirm that everything's in order in terms of bringing this back to this scheduled meeting to potentially reconsider the decision as well as the bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anybody else have a further comment? Okay, so we haven't got a mover and a seconder yet because we haven't decided what we're going to do. So, Mike, do you want to make a resolution?
Yeah, I would say that we stay with the vote that we had and keep category 3 on for 1 year and maybe monitor it and get some feedback.
Okay.
John.
Yes.
Well, I haven't got it. I haven't done a resolution, so.
Well, really, excuse me, but maybe we don't need a motion to do it. That's it. We just need
to receive the information.
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, she.
So we've made this addition. Be it resolved that council receive Councillor Ainsworth's verbal update for information, and further that staff will review this at the end of 2024. Can I get a mover in a second? Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, just, I'm not sure who in staff will look at it next year, but maybe, Councillor Ainsworth could find out for us too, and report back to us, what exactly is category 3 costing us? We keep talking percentage wise. It might be interesting to find out if it's $1,000, $5,000, 10,000. It'd be more in my brain to, maybe we're only talking about a couple of $100, which is nothing, if that's possible.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. So it wasn't talked about the percentage as much as at the meeting, but the 18.8%, but what it was talked about that the total package is about 30%. So, you know, you're looking at 5 or 6%, somewhere close to that would be for the category 3. Just
I don't recall for sure, but I think it was probably $2,000, but I don't see that for sure.
Well, if it's 5%, it's $5,000. We're over $100,000 for the overtime, roughly. So, but it would just be interesting if we're talking about a few dollars, or we're actually talking that way. When the report comes back, if we find out only one school is taking advantage of this program, is it worth paying $5,000 for 30 kids to have somebody come and talk about the conservation area?
We can add that, if we could take a look and find out the cost and report back to council. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, now we need a motion to reconvene to the municipal planning regular council meeting. Thank you, Tracy. Be it resolved that the council of the township of Alwa-Calderwood, being a land division committee of adjustment, reconvene to the municipal planning regular council meeting at 10:44 p.m. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor O'Neill and seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. All in favor? That's carried. Next we have approval of the minutes. Be resolved, the council of the township of Alwa-Calderwood approve one set of special council session minutes from August 29th, 2023. The meeting that was held at 10 a.m. I can move in seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next we have item. Yes. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. Move on to item 11.1, new stop signs. Whereas the council of the township of Alwa-Calderwood consider the new stop signs report dated December 19th, 2023. Be it resolved that the council approve the recommendations to erect new stop signs for Beach at George Road, Joyce Road at Eddystone Road, Lock Road at Joyce Road, Helen's Lane at Clouston Road, and Vernonville Road at Dudley Road. And further be resolved, the Public Works install the recommended signage, and further that be resolved, the council enact bylaws for the signs. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Booth.
Through you, your worship, maybe to Dave, the CAO. So I know I had a meeting with the Public Works manager, I think it was last year, or maybe it was early in the spring this year, about a concern from a citizen of a stop sign at Community Center Road and Stewart Road. There's 2 stop signs there right now, but there has to be a stop sign on the other side because it allows somebody going east and west to just go through with no stop, and there's one going north and south. I'm just wondering, would you like me to send him a concern about that? Because I don't see it on this one here. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, I was glad to see this come out because, especially on the Dudley Road and Vernonville Road there, that whole intersection to me is probably illegal, the way it's all set up. So the stopping all three ways is a perfect solution. I would like to bring up though too, if I could at this time, about the third line. Is there an opportunity to have a look at the third?
Bring it up.
Can we bring that? Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I do have one question and comment, and it is regarding Dudley and Vernonville. I could be wrong. Is there any stop signs there now?
Yes,
Yeah.
there's one,
Okay.
there's one that comes from the south to the north.
From the south.
Or sorry, the east and west have stop signs.
And so what the proposal is, although it doesn't state here, it's to make it a three-way stop. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, that makes more sense. I thought we were just putting once on the Vernonville South. Pardon me, Vernonville North, heading north. That's where it's, I believe that's where I saw it was suggested.
yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
So you're gonna put in three signs.
Add another one by the looks of this one. There's two now. It looks like you're just going to add another one.
Yes,
So coming from the side.
coming from the south.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we put something in there like that? With the Dudley and the Dudley and Vernonville Road, that there be a third sign. It's actually put in a third sign, basically a three-corner road.
That's
Correct?
just to clarify then, Mary, so that's a three-way stop.
It will be a three-way stop when we add one more stop sign. Right now, it's a two-way stop.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, from Mike.
Yeah.
It's a T. Okay. And I think,
Anybody comments, Steve?
So if I can, Mayor, it's a T in the road. So you're coming from the south to the T,
Yes.
which didn't make any sense for that driver to just go right through the intersection and go whichever way they want to go. East and west was a straight through, but they had the stop sign. So that's where the conflicting.
Yes. But it did say that, yes, it didn't say that there was two other signs. That's why.
Yeah.
so this will
I
clean
thought
that
we were
up.
gonna continue on Vernonville, just let it go.
Yeah, the Helen Lane and the Cluster Road, that's been an issue probably all summer.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that getting fixed up.
Yes. Well, and what they're saying it's going to be. We're gonna put one there, because there's already one here and one. Guess we better check.
Yeah, because you can go. If you're heading north, Mayor Local, you can go east or west. So now they're gonna put a stop sign at
Stop you from going north.
to be on the northeast corner.
It will be on the northeast corner.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what we're using.
Yeah.
I think there's already some sign right here. On Vernonville.
Yeah, there is.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, how could there be? I don't think there is.
Yeah, I know that's always been the problem, is that there's a stop sign here and there. So this guy could come right and go right through the intersection.
Yeah, well, that's where they're gonna put the stop.
Yeah, so this one here this is coming from the south to the north, so.
Setting
Go ahead, Dave.
Through you, Mayor Logo, I believe the idea as stated here is to make this an intersection. So that would be an all-way stop.
three-way stop.
But I would request that council, if they are unclear, to put it back to the roads department to do as appropriate.
through you, Mayor. So Dave, can we just agree that we're going to have a three-way stop there?
So the reason I said through your mayor, the reason I said as appropriate was because if there is an appropriate merge design of the roadway going in one direction, then it is easy for it to be yield, but I'm not going to speak out of context. So that's why I'm saying if we give it back to the roads department to do as appropriate, if an all-way stop to create an intersection is what they're asking for, then that would be done as appropriate. But I do believe that they have the expertise and knowledge to deal with it.
Okay.
I'm gonna reread this then slightly. Whereas the council of the township of Elmwood will consider the new stop signs report dated December 19th. Therefore, resolve the council approve the recommendations to erect two stop signs for Leach at George, Joyce Road at Eddystone, Block Road at Joyce, Helens Lane at Clouston Road. Further, be it resolved that council requests Vernonville Road and Dudley Road to be reinvestigated by the Public Works. And further that the public and report to council. And further be it resolved the Public Works Department install the recommended signage. And further be resolved the council enact bylaws for the four approved locations. There's four and ask for certifications of the fifth. Do we have okay. Councilor Angel, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Speak?
Yep. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next we have 11-2 sole source purchase of Thompson steam from Clark Kavanaugh. Whereas the council of the township of Allen Alderman received the sole source purchase of Thompson heater from Clark Kavanaugh dated December 19th, be resolved the council approve the sole source purchase. Are you moving a second on this? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Did I get who moved that?
I think I did.
I think Deputy Mayor Stover did, Councilor Ainsworth. Sorry.
My memory's good. It's short.
Next one is tender results 11-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor Logo. With respect to the recommendation for sole source, I think it should just be noted that in future senior managers need to prove the reason for sole source, not just for simply ask for permission of sole source. There needs to be a requirement met with respect to the information, simply that maybe it's the only company that sells them, but there needs to be appropriate information to council to vote on for a sole source. I think at this point that council's voted, which is great, and we should move forward, but just in future, it should set the bar.
Okay. Your comment?
I'd like to further add that I would prefer that we're seeing this before the word was is in it. So this was purchased, so.
That's the way it should be too. Can we put that in this next one? Because we've got to simply go. Is that okay with you, CAO? Okay.
Mayor Lovell? Mayor Lovell?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Just because this has been an issue, even for last year and stuff, was these culverts. making sure that they're kept on plug. And I just wonder if we've never ever had a report or, you know, you kind of get something at the end of the month where they did this or that with the culverts or the ditches. But I just wonder if there's some kind of a schedule or observation that goes on with the roads department to keep up on that.
Yep, through you, Mayor. Councillor Ainsworth, I will be addressing this with, when we speak to, a few items enclosed with respect to the CEO position and council.
Perfect.
Okay, we have 11-3. Tender results for T-04 2023 Parks and Recreation Tractor. Whereas the Council of the Township of Alma-Calderwood received the award of tender T-04 2023 for Parks and Recreation Tractor report dated December 19th, 2023. Therefore, it be resolved the council award the tender to Bob Mark, New Holland Sales, being the lowest bid received and meeting the tender specification. And whereas in future purchases of tender where there's only one flyer, that the requisition include a reason for using only one sole source protection.
Excuse me, Mayor Local, if I may. So for item 11.3, there were actually 3 bids that did come in.
Okay.
It wasn't a sole source situation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'll take that, Scott. But we'll have to come back to the other one unless there's another sole source. Maybe there wasn't. Go ahead, Dave.
So with respect to our procurement bylaw, we don't necessarily go with the lowest bidder. In this case, the lowest bidder was chosen, which was great. And I've certainly done the same with respect to the fire service here. But where we have, I just want to make mention that where we have a local business that does conform with appropriate zoning, does conform with appropriate building permits to conduct their business within our township and does pay commercial taxes, that where they are found to be competitive by nature, we really should look to support our local businesses. And that's something I'd like to see us move forward to in the future. Thank you.
We're talking about the tractor bid right now, or we brought it up. I guess I have a couple of concerns to talk about with this too, is this was passed way back in, I'm going to say February. And it was told to us that it was very important that they get this piece of equipment, and we discussed it and it went roundabout and everything. And I'm kind of disappointed to see that we're not buying it until December of this year. And if it was so important to have for grass cutting, that we let the whole year go by. So that's one concern I have. I guess the second concern I have, and maybe it's true to the CAO, or I'm not sure who could answer it, not fair for you, Dave, is this tractor currently already purchased and we have it? Or are we actually voting on something to say that it goes to Bob Mark New Holland?
I can answer that. I've seen the drive. It's in the Public Works Department, and it came in the last couple of days or a couple of weeks.
So I would say that's another huge issue then, that why is council even looking at this if they've already purchased it? Because exactly what you just said, Mr. CAO, if we were to say, no, we want to support Doug's small engines and we'd rather go there, it's too late. We've already purchased it and it's on there. So something is really wrong with the purchasing of this town when it comes to stuff like this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll just say, and it's no reflection on you, Mr. CAO, maybe for something for you to look into, because this was obviously bought, purchased and everything without your knowing, but it seems kind of foolish, like you said, that we're voting to say, yes, if we would have actually taken Doug's small engines, as you just said, we consider, we couldn't do it right now.
Through you, Mayor Logo. So just to briefly explain and to clarify the procurement process. So council gives their approval through the budget process, as you know. And then the senior managers will then enact the budget. When we go through a procurement process, be it an RFP and or a tender, that is to gather the information so that we can then come back and present to council for final approval. And that means that we can present you what the options are. Council can vote to go with the lowest bidder. They can vote to go with the highest bidder. We can throw all kinds of different information in there that may sway your vote one way or the other. But that is the appropriate process as identified within the procurement policy.
Thank you, David. And there's basically a level at that you have to follow for this particular order, correct? And I don't know what that figure is, but 25, 20, 25. Okay. All right. So should still go ahead with this? If it's on the agenda, you need to move in a second. Okay. Got to get a mover and a seconder for this. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. You want to come back to that last one where we talked about, you don't want to do that? Okay. Thank you. Next, we have report 12-1 from the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Update. Be it resolved, the Council of the Township of Allentown will receive the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Update report from the Parks, Recreation and Culture Coordinator and dated December 19th, 2023 for information. Got to get mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Go ahead, Mayor Catherine.
Just that I'm super pleased to see that we're getting usage numbers included. So I very much appreciate that.
Yes, they are nice to see. Gives you a lot more information. All in favor? Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor. I brought this up a few times, and it's just something to rehash. Is that, you know, to be a little more proactive with our community centers, and you know, there's lots of available time there, and I don't know if there's some kind of a spot where we can get on, you know. And I keep looking back to when my son got married. We got married in a barn. It was $5,000 for the day. So, I mean, we've got these beautiful community centers that, you know, we're maybe not advertising enough for things like this and try to make them worthwhile and that kind of thing. So I just, maybe in the future, if there's a talk about, you know, paths moving forward, maybe we could do some advertising, some things like that and try to get them filled up a little more.
Good point. Go ahead, Dave. Yeah, I think strategic planning and all of that type stuff, that would be a good discussion.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
We better vote on that.
Finish with this one. All in favor? We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 11:15.
We need a motion for that.
Yep. Go ahead, Mary Catherine. Move
for a 10-minute.
All in favor? Motion's carried. Go ahead. Sorry. We're going back into regular council, so I'll need a mover and a seconder to return to active regular council. Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have the quarterly financial report. And today we have our good friend Nicole here to make a presentation. So please go ahead, Nicole. I hope I'm not embarrassing you by the whole lot.
Sorry. So you have in front of you the third quarter financial reporting. And I'm sure you've noticed that it's formatted a little bit differently than we have in the past. There's still the information on overages. However, what I have done is filtered it a little bit more so that you're not inundated with pages of things that are not material and can be managed by staff. So what I did is went through, I've filtered out anything that is less than a 10% difference and under $5,000. So it's given you a much smaller list to focus on. What I've also done is added in a summary on the capital expenditures that have been built into the budget and just a few notes on that. And really the items that I would say are most important if we're going to be our capital expenditures, which I think there's already been some discussion today about timing of when those are taking place, as well as the revenue side. So if we're not bringing in the money that we had anticipated, having a look at that. As well, there's a summary page there, and it's formatted the same way as you would have seen during the budget process, so that you can easily be able to see, okay, this is what we had budgeted, and this is where we are as of the end of September. So this is as of the end of September. So I know we're in December now. And on some things I may have even noted where we were at the beginning of December. So I'm going to just open it up for council if you have any questions with regards to the report in front of you.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
To you, your worship, to the treasurer. Thank you very much for this report. It was good reading over the weekend. I got to read everything and look through it, and we're still, I mean, putting things in there. So I don't have any direct questions or anything like that. Just a comment maybe that would it be possible for the budget when it comes in January that we could have as councillors, for example, you know, when they're showing us that they want $5,000 more for road painting, can we see what their budget was for this year and what they actually spent? What I mean is, Nicole, is if I budget $50,000 a year for painting the roads and I only spent 20,000, and then next year I'm asking for 60,000, that would be a concern as a councillor, is why are you asking for more money when we didn't even spend? Is that possible would it be a separate thing or whatever that would show? And I know it would only be up until January, when our first day of budget is, but I'm just very interested to see is people are asking for increases, right? And then it's like, you didn't even spend your money that you had this year. That makes sense?
Through you, Mayor. The format always, I believe, has been and will be to be able to see what the prior year actuals were. Actually, normally my format has been to show the last 2 years actuals as well as the last 2 years budget numbers, so you'll be able to see what's been spent. Like you say, we haven't got invoices in for something. There could potentially be something missing. However, I have the file set up at this point so that before it goes to the clerk's department for printing, I'll be able to take the most current data from our system and dump it in there. So when we started the budget process, the department heads had the end of October numbers when they were starting. And this current week, when we've been sitting down, the data has had the numbers up to December the 5th when we've been looking at it. So as we continue to meet, I will continue to update those numbers so that you have an accurate comparison to prior years.
I think our first meeting is scheduled for January 30th.
That's correct.
So we should have pretty good information by then. I mean, there are going to be a few here and there, but I would think you'd be in pretty good shape with it. Go ahead.
And one more, I guess, is a question maybe yourself or the CAO can answer is, when people do purchase items, is it, I know in my former place of employment is if you purchase something with your 2023 budget, that piece of equipment, unless you got special permission, had to be on town property. Somebody can't order something, for example, on December 31st and then have it delivered in January 14th or 15th. Is that true or?
Through you, Mayor. So there are what we call generally accepted accounting principles, and they don't allow for us to capitalize or expense an item that we have not received or we have not put into place. So if we, just because we order it in 2023 doesn't mean we can put it into the 2023 budget. That service or that delivery would have had to have taken place. And really for things of a capital nature, it should be truly put into service. So just because it got dropped in a box at the door doesn't mean it's ready and able to be put into service, right? So we have to be very careful with that. So those are the types of things that I look at as you know, invoices and things are coming in at the end and at the beginning of the new year. It's also something when our auditors come in, they part of their audit process is to look at subsequent events as well as you know, the last couple of weeks before the end of the year, because those are the types of things that they're looking for to ensure that you know, we're not doing this.
Thank you. And thank you very much again for this report. It was very valuable.
Mayor Catherine?
I'm just going to concur with what Councillor Booth was saying. I know we've asked for the variances, and this is definitely an easier way to understand the variances. And I especially appreciate that overview that's on page 62 of our agenda package, and it's all got pretty colors and everything. But from council, we are the big picture, whereas staff's worrying about those small numbers, making sure that it's meeting the big picture. So we need to know what the big picture is. So thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor, a couple of things. I wonder if, I'm just kind of thinking outside the box here, but like for the fire department, for instance, can we have a number of calls each vehicle goes out on? Like I see if you put like, you know, certain truck has certain amount of wages put towards it. Is that one call or is that 3 calls?
Through you, Mayor. So when you're seeing wages, CPP, EI, anything like that, applied in either the fire department or in public works to a vehicle, that's actually repairs and maintenance items. So when Billy is working on a specific vehicle, he will assign his time to that vehicle so that we are able to track the costs of repairing it, even though it's not going out of the department. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's kind of that's exactly. I want to see what I would like to see what that wage is for. How many, you know, how much we've used that vehicle or. But so, for instance, like the public works, like the plowing wages were $62,000. So is that?
Mike, I can't quite hear you.
I say the plowing wages, like for the public works, is $62,000, and this is the first snowstorm we've had. So I know we maybe ice, some sanding and salting and stuff, but I kind of wonder, like, is that like maintenance work on the truck? That's what you're.
So through you, Mayor, that's something different. I'm talking about if you're seeing something on a vehicle. If you see something like plowing, then that's because when the guys are filling out their timesheet, if they've spent 5 hours plowing, then they're putting 5 hours of their wages there. And so therefore all the benefit costs that go along with that will go to plowing dash CPP or plowing dash owners. So that portion is allocated. One thing I will mention that, and it's going to come up during budget, is that we've identified that when there's overtime, it hasn't necessarily been allocated specifically to those departments because the way that we administer overtime, time gets banked and then taken back back out. So to have it in different places makes it difficult. And that's why we have like a wages admin for the actual public works staff, not just the office staff. We're looking at in 2024, we found a way to ensure that if we're putting in additional hours in the overtime for whether it be plowing, whether it be sanding, that it actually gets allocated to the correct place rather than kind of, oh, well, that's overtime, it's sitting over here. It will actually go into those departments.
Okay.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mayor Logal, to Nicole. I concur with what everybody's saying, that it's so easy to kind of follow, and I'm really looking forward to the budget process as well. Thank you.
I guess I'll make a couple comments. I'm really excited about pages 56 to 62. And it's so much easier to see the summaries and where we are as far as expenditures up to date, capital up to date, where we're over budget on some items and where we're under budget on some items. And it's very handy and helpful, particularly that page 62, which shows pretty well everything. And that's the year-to-date budget to actual summary. So, but I have one question. It says from the 30th of September 23, and the other ones say the third quarter reporting. So they're a little bit different numbers.
So the end of the third quarter would be September 30th, 2023. So that would be year to date.
Okay. Yeah, that is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I did kind of make some summaries, and I don't know if they're kind of, they're my way of doing some calculations. I would say that as far as budget versus actual, we haven't spent, we're spending probably about where we should be, but we haven't brought in that much revenue yet. And I think a lot of that is because there's, at least for some of it, it's because we haven't taken it out of reserves and actually put it through. Is that kind of a good summary?
That is correct. I mean, there's a number of reserves that need to be transferred in that fourth quarter. Some of that comes with having some of these capital expenditures didn't happen till October delivery. Yeah. You know, so for instance, I think one of the major things on there was like our trucks for the fire department. So they didn't come in until I think it was October. So until I receive those, I don't do the transfer out of the reserves to cover it. So you'll see that. The other thing as far as revenues is that there's still the November and December pre-authorized payments that would be coming in for tax purposes.
Tax purposes, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So at the end of September, we do have all, like the due dates have all taken place for the actual taxes, but if people are set up on pre-authorized, they would potentially have payments in October.
Yeah, and I'll just say I'm kind of looking forward to the budget too, because we've had a year's experience and we have some better idea of what the goals are and that type of stuff too. So I'm looking forward to when it's coming. And well, I guess I'll ask you, how are you feeling how the year is going to end up, or do you want to comment on that? Or
I prefer not to comment at this point because it's really hard until we have everything in December. I think that we're tracking where I've seen us, you know, track in past as well as other municipalities as far as where expenditures are. I think it's been noted that we need to do a better job on the capital side and making sure that when we've got the approval from council that we get moving on those quicker. But if we get you know, if budget gets passed in a timely manner again this year, I think that's one of the things that with Dave as our CAO, that's one of the things he'd like to see as well, is that we're moving on the things that we have been approved for.
Thank you. Any further comments? Dave, do you have a comment?
I will, through you, Mayor Logal. So Nicole, thank you very much for working with me to do this, and putting all the work behind doing it. One of the things I want council to know is that moving forward, you will see more financial control through the treasurer's department. And these types of reports, as a quarterly report, I think is more appropriate for council so that they can have an overview, especially that summary report, to see how the business finances are going for the township. Our department heads will be reporting to the treasurer with respect to expenditures, and you will see more of a gather up through Nicole, and then Nicole will report to council with respect to finances, as it should be. If there's a report that needs to come from a department head to do with finances, then they will come to council, but only after it's been vetted through the treasurer, because the treasurer does need to be in control of all expenditures, all finances of the township. So it's a bit of a regather up, but more of a direction approach for council, so that you have, we're not, let's say, as helter-skelter as we've been. And so it's a lot more guided. So Nicole, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave. Any further questions? Go ahead.
Mayor Logal, through you, Mayor Logal, to Nicole. I just, before I mentioned this, I did mention it to Nicole, and I just wondered if, and Nicole is receptive to this, that before we start the budget process, we maybe have a time where, when we're coming together to do the budget, that so we're not all working at different levels, what we should be zeroing in on. And I just wanted to mention it here. And Nicole is, I don't know if Nicole would like to, don't want to put you on the spot, but I thought it might be helpful.
Through you, Mayor. I just wanted, one of the things I wanted to clarify, if that was something that you were looking for prior to getting all your budget documents, or whether you would prefer to see something as part of the presentation process, where there's almost like a budget 101 in the first maybe 15 minutes. I just do a quick summary of what you're looking at and how to read the documents. I can definitely do that. If it's just something that you need clarification on as well, Deputy Mayor, I certainly don't mind spending 15-20 minutes or something once the documents come out as well, and just going over them with you so that you understand how to read them and that sort of thing. So I mean, that's entirely up to council whether you want that as an overall for everyone, or whether you just would like to come have a chat.
Well, I just put it out there.
You are going to put out your sheets where, like we mentioned before, where the last 2 years and where you're going to have that out to us before we actually get together on the 30th?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And is that what you're asking for?
That as well, and maybe what we should be working on as council going through it. And I think maybe your two of them I'll tap into if there's some parts of the document, but maybe even a 15 or 20 minute preamble too before we get started might be helpful.
Perhaps we should do that at one of the January meetings, that 15 minutes before. That's it. Go ahead.
Through your, Mayor Logal, you're not allowed to say that.
That's twice.
Huh?
So what I wanted to offer council, and I've spoke to Nicole a little bit about this, and I've mentioned it in bits and pieces to different council members. So I'm trying to put a little bit of the anxiety at rest. The 2024 budget is going to come forward to you with a plan of where we're headed. To Councillor Boo's point about, you know, if somebody's asking for an increase and the expense has not been used in 2023, I can assure you through Nicole and I that is already going to be addressed. You're not going to see individual department budgets come before you and presented individually without being connected together on what the entire plan is for the township. financially. So it is going to be different. My hopes are again that we will not spend 3 days deliberating budgets individually without understanding how they all tie together, but rather it will be a formal presentation that is thorough and that you'll be able to follow along so that we're helping everyone through it, through Nicole's education level that she has for finance. And certainly when people are recognized for being highly educated, we need to follow their word. And so the plan, as I said, will come forward. And so it should help you quite a bit. You should notice the difference.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead.
I'm just picking up slightly to make sure I understand, Deputy Mayor Stover. Are you also looking to see, because last year when we did it, we said it would be nice if we looked at subscriptions in 1 year and then not look at it again in our term kind of thing? Is that what you were referencing, or is that something that I'm bringing new to the table right now?
New. Thank
Okay. Just for reference, then you were there for budget discussions last year. You know that we did have that discussion. So
I agree. We're going to try and get through it thoroughly and a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Or maybe a lot quicker. Go ahead, Nicole.
Just one more note, and you'll definitely see it once budget comes forward. But one of the things that council did ask for last year is to see that budget presented in such a way that two things. One, there weren't these negative amounts that were causing some confusion in the revenue section. So all of that has already been revamped. And we have also, I've gone through and in some departments where there might be, for instance, there's the arena and then there's parks. You will see a summary at the bottom that gives you the net for parks and the net for the arena. So those are some of the things that you can kind of forward to as you, as we approach budget. That I did hear council last year that those were things that they wanted.
Actually, I noticed some of that already in the third quarter reporting. So thank you. I'm going to read the resolution. Be resolved that the council of the Township of Balmacolin receive the quarterly 3 financial report from the treasurer dated December 19th, 2023 for information. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor O'Neill, seconded by Deputy Mayor Silver. Further discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried.
Sorry, I believe Deputy Mayor Stover may have had a pecuniary interest when it came to the budget.
Oh, yes. So I should, yeah, I will reframe. I will, you'll need another second. Thank you.
So we're gonna need a new second.
Reading new seconder. Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Booth. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion is
I don't
carried.
know if I can favor that.
Next, we have Councilor Resolution 14-1, the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority minutes of the Board of Directors dated November 23rd, 2023. Be resolved, the Council of the Township of Balmacolin receive the Ganaraska Regional Conservation Authority minutes of the Board of Directors dated November 23rd, 2023 for information. I get a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover and seconded by Councilor O'Neill. Further discussion? All in favor?
If I may, before you do that, through your Mayor Logo, we do have another meeting that was called for at the Ganaraska, and that will be to discuss some charges that have come through the town of Coburg. So that will be coming forward in February, I believe, the minutes to that.
Okay, but you're having a meeting before the end of December?
Yeah, on Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Good to know for information. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next one is 14.2, a recommendation from the Grafton Communal Water Committee regarding signage at the water treatment plant. Whereas the Grafton Communal Water Committee reviewed correspondence from Adam Target of the Lakefront Utility Services Incorporated regarding a quotation for signage of the water treatment plant at their November 15th, 2023 meeting. And whereas the Grafton Communal Water Committee approved the quotation in the amount of $250 plus HST for the design and $810 plus HST for the printing and mounting of the signage. Be it resolved that Grafton Communal Water Committee recommend that the Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman approve the purchase and installation of a sign at the water treatment plant based on the quoted prices. Mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Booth.
I'll just mention the deputy mayor and myself are on this committee. This was recommended by a council member, I'm not sure, but when we did the tour of the water plant a few months ago, it was recommended that there's no signage at all on that plant, and it's hard to find when people are driving by in that. So it was recommended by Lucy that his exact words were, we should be very proud of it. It's an excellent plant. We took a tour inside and it's nice inside and everything, and it would be worth it to have the sign up on there, which will be there for a long time.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have correspondence, 15-1, correspondence from St. Mary's Catholic Elementary School regarding transportation safety issues and requests. Further, that the Council of the Township of Alma-Calderman review the correspondence from the principal of St. Mary's Elementary School dated December 8th, 2023 regarding transportation safety issues and requests. And be resolved, the council direct the acting CAO to work with public works staff and bring forward a report to a future meeting with options and recommendations. Thank you, mover to second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Any discussions? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, to you, Mayor. Like, I agree with this whole thing because there has been some talk around that about the sidewalks and stuff with the two schools, the public and the Catholic school. And so that whole thing needs to be looked at, and I'd be looking forward to seeing a report on all of it, not just necessarily for the Catholic school. So we need to involve what's going on with the public schools. The sidewalk stops just before the school. It doesn't go into the Glens of Anthrams or anything there. We got kids coming out of there going to school and they got to walk up the side of the road. So we should need to just kind of look at that whole thing.
We're going to have to, the Glens of Antrim hasn't been approved yet, has it? I recall them being supposed to be the sidewalk across the Glens of Antrim to the school. In the there was at one time. Maybe that got changed too. Go ahead, Dave.
There is through you, Mayor. Tracy has a meeting with Glens of Antrim either Wednesday morning or Thursday morning to address the final sign off for the subdivision and final plans.
Okay. Go ahead, Mary Catherine.
I want to concur with Councillor Ainsworth that this is part of a bigger discussion. It's come to us in the past a couple of times in terms of safe walking in the community. And at the new Danforth meeting, that area that is being identified by the principal is also an area that was identified that, you know, yes, that's new development and they will take care of the sidewalks and roads within that new development, but we have to upgrade that area to get in there to be able to accommodate the number of walkers and cars. So it is a major budget item that's going to need to come to us over the next year or two.
I was contacted by the principal that and suggested that he sent this letter. She did. His most time sensitive issue is the stop signs. in front of the library or community center. He's asking that we put, four-way stop there, basically. So when you're considering that, Dave, maybe you should be thinking about that as well. Go ahead.
And to your Mayor Logo, I read that, and to put a four-way stop on Station Road, you're going to have people stopping at the top of the hill. And I just don't know how good that would be, especially in the winter, because that road is icy. So I'm really looking forward to the report coming from the Public Works to see what their thoughts are on that.
Mary Catherine?
I'm looking across at Councillor Ainsworth. We attended Good Roads last year, and one of the things we came back with, and I know we've mentioned it in the past, but we'll certainly resend it to the new people from our observations there. But from a liability point of view, and just from a very practical point of view, we need a road safety study done by people who specialize in it, because you know, we can say that this is the way to go, but none of us are road safety experts. The principal at the school isn't a road safety expert. It is, you know, and that has a cost in it, but it also has a potential savings for us if we in fact can say we're acting on this study.
Yep. Go ahead, Mike.
Through you, Mayor. So just to add to that too, I mean, we got the subdivision coming up on Old Danforth Road. There's no sidewalks there for kids coming out of there. So that, I mean, that whole project, you know, I look over here in front of the Lassen Ladle, and every time I see one of our residents in the wheelchair come up here, they go from the sidewalk like to nothing. They kind of got to go out around. So, I mean, that whole little area where the crosswalk is, you know, so just that whole, like that, our whole town needs to be looked at when it comes to sidewalks.
Go ahead, Dave. And it's all safety.
Yeah.
And we're probably, if we're not doing something about it, then we're not right. All the way across. In my opinion, but I do like Mary Catherine's idea that we've got to get right people doing it, because I'm no expert on it.
Yeah.
So. If you want to add some of the discussion in.
Sure.
Okay, so I think we should add that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the road safety study.
And we should probably put some, I don't know what's reasonable, Dave, but we should probably have some time limits or time considerations of something.
Be a budget item.
Like I wanted through you, Mayor, is there some things we could kind of get done right away to, like I say, these stop sign things? Could we add those to the existing list that we got? Maybe
I think we should do a study first.
Yeah.
Some kind of study first, at least in Public Works. But I agree with you too that those are important.
Do we have enough school crossing signs in that area?
No.
Yeah. So maybe, you know, something like that could be put up too.
And what the principal said, he said, I've come from different places and we don't have nearly as much safety stop signs, et cetera, where as compared to the schools, other schools he's been teaching at principal. And I can see that because we're not living in a community that just had subdivisions put up all like that. Like, so you have 500 kids, more than 500 kids going to school here. That's a lot. And anybody that lives in that area knows what can happen between 4:09 and 9:30 in the morning, and the equivalent in the afternoon. You should have a talk there on this. Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Logo, I do know that the St. Mary's did have a significant accident where a student was hit, and this isn't yesterday. It was, I'm probably talking way in the past, but it did happen, and Not sure if that's when that whole subdivision was changed, or not the top, because it used to be a drive right through and down the old Danforth. But keep in mind that just the housing development on Old Danforth is 76 houses. So, you know, you're gonna have a couple hundred more kids coming around that are going to be accessing that. So even coming out onto Highway 2 is significant. So it's going to be needed.
And I don't know, we haven't finally signed those approvals on those subdivisions.
No.
So that should be considered, huh? But even all over the place where they can put sidewalks. I know up in the top hill of the hill, we do have some sidewalks planned, but that's only partially.
And further to the comments on sidewalks, it needs to be coordinated because a bunch of pieces does not make a safe walking community.
I'll read the resolution and we'll decide what we want to do. You've heard the first part about it, and the rest of it is, and further that the larger area around St. Mary Catholic School also be reviewed for safety issues for all road and pedestrian users, and further that the acting CAO and public works staff research a transportation consultant to assist with the review. Yes.
I just wonder if we could add the Grafton Public School to that as well as St. Mary's.
Yep. It's a big order. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carry. You think that's a 6-month project, Dave, or quicker than that? Some of it.
Through your mayor to council, I can tell you that Susan is already looking into what company can do the study. Because we've already asked for the Grafton in total.
Next, we have 15-2 from the Township of Crammy, a resolution of support regarding court backlog. Whereas the Council of the Township of Alma-Coldoman reviewed the court backup resolution from the Township of Crammy. Be resolved, the council provide its support for this resolution and direct the clerk to forward a copy of this resolution to the Attorney General and the Ministry of Trade, Immigration, Training, Skills and Development /MPP Dave Puccini and all Northumberland municipalities. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Or anybody want to discuss that? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have 15-3 Association of Municipalities of Ontario Watch File. Be it resolved, the council received the Watch File newsletter from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario dated December 7th, 2023 for information. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have bylaws. Bylaw number 1202023 being a bylaw to declare a portion of highway, street, or walkway is assumed for public use in the Township of Alma-Coldoman, legally described as part of lot 17, concession 9, registry compliant plan 408, sub lot 15 for Leach Road in the Township of Alma-Coldoman, formerly in Township of Holdeman. Be resolved that bylaw 1202023 being a bylaw to declare that a portion of the highway, street, or walkway is assumed for public use in the Township of Alma-Coldoman, legally described as part of lot 17, concession 9, reg comp plan 408, sublot 15, Leach Road, Township of Alma-Coldoman, formerly the Township of Holdeman, be read and deemed to be passed this 19th day of December 2023. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Further discussion? Go ahead, Mayor Caput.
I have a number of concerns about this. First, in the financial, I think in the future, it should include that, like, once the township assumes the road, we are assuming the snow plowing, we are assuming the grading, we are assuming the replacement 20 years down the road. So it looks like there's no financial implication to assuming a road from the way this report is, but there's a lot of financial implication from assuming a road and future maintenance. And if we do that for one house, there's absolutely no chance that one house is ever going to give us enough taxes to offset the increased cost to our road system. And this one is a historical one that's coming forward to us now. And I know that every severance that comes to us now, we're very adamant it must be on a assumed road, which is a good thing. I think that we don't really have a choice in this one, but if we do, I mean, I think it's worth talking about because of the cost of assuming a road. But I think that's something we need to really get our heads around, is the historical implications of things that have happened in the past. So those are my two concerns, is the financial and the historical.
And I'm not arguing, but I'll just comment. The original person that asked to wanted to build a house, in order to build that house, he had to extend the road, and they paid for all of that, start to finish. And then I would suggest to you that by paying taxes, that I'm helping to pay for that regular maintenance.
But you're only helping to pay for it. It's coming nowhere near. I look at my own road where I live, and there's only 3 houses on that road, and only one, which is mine, has to use that road to get to the highway. Well, this township is not getting near enough taxes from me to pay for the replacement that needs to be happening.
Your taxes up.
I agree.
So I think that it's disingenuous to say that the financial costs are, and it is a huge expense for the person who puts in that road, but it's a huge future expense for other taxpayers in the municipality.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. Opposed? Number 16.2, bylaw number 1202023, being a bylaw to declare that a portion of the highway, street, or walkway is assumed for public use in the township of Alma-Calderwood, legally described as part of lot 17, concession 6, for Bradley Hollow Road, township of Alma-Calderwood, formerly in the township of Haldeman. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1212023, being a bylaw to declare that a portion of highway, street, or walkway is assumed for public use in the township of Alma-Calderwood, legally described as part of lot 17, concession 6, Bradley Hollow Road, township of Alma-Calderwood, formerly of the township of Haldeman, be read and deemed to be passed this 19th day of December 2023. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Deputy Mayor Stover. Further discussion? Mary Catherine?
Again, and I know they have come before us, and this was complicated by the fact that it was a county road that they were looking for. But it reiterates my point that we need to be clear moving forward that we are not going to be assuming new roads, because it is a huge expense.
Go ahead, Councillor Booth.
Through you, your worship, not really, I guess, maybe I'll speak about it after we vote on this one. Then it was just concerning Bevan Road.
Bevan Ridge Road.
Bevan Ridge Road, yes. We'll vote on this one first.
I just had a comment as well, if I may, Mayor. Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Through your Mayor Logo, I know I was at the property, I looked at it, and I really questioned why they couldn't come off the county road. It would have been a lot simpler, and we wouldn't be assuming a small little road. I know that the McGuire's, it was the same thing as what you were talking about. They made sure, I assume that somebody has checked on the road, but that it was up to, you know, what the township standard would be. But I mean, it's a bit late now, but I would question why they couldn't come off a county road, because there's a lot of other driveways there.
You want to comment on this
I
comment?
think I can answer that is because the county said no.
Well, I know the county said no, through your mayor logo,
Yeah.
but I wonder why the county said no.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Because they have policy that states that any property that can be taken off a secondary road must come off a secondary road.
And you
Not
can't
necessarily.
challenge the policy, mayor logo.
Challenge it, but,
Okay. But anyway, this is
Yeah.
done.
but that's why I. Councilor
What's,
Yeah, through you, Mayor. No, I think things like these are a good thing because I mean, you know, we've had, you know, a couple of discussions about people wanting to close unassumed roads. And this is a good example of why we should never close an unassumed road because people got property there and maybe one day they want to build there. And because we're counselors and should look after our residents, we should be trying to help everyone out as much as we can. So I think these are a good thing.
I'm wondering, I don't believe this was an unassumed road. I believe they put the road through to get on. They made the road. I don't think this was an unassumed road. I could be wrong.
This was an unassumed road.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
That they agreed to upgrade the road to public agricultural standards. And they paid for that, and now they're able to use that. And that's how they got access.
Through you, Mayor. So are we talking about the Leach Road again? Now, are they gonna have a turnaround
No.
like Bradley Hollow? They had to do in Bradley Hollow? Because I can see it's all done and they get a nice big turnaround for the plows
For Leach.
on Bradley Hollow. So the one on Leach gonna have a turnaround for our plows?
You comment on that, Dave? Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure that I would hope that if it was Public Works approved it, they would be making sure that was in there, and we can check that out.
I remember the McGuire on Bradley Hollow, it was a stipulation when they were fixing up the road that they had to have a turnaround for the plow.
Mhm.
I don't want to say that, but I think it was approved at the last council.
No.
Pardon me?
It would probably be in the development agreement when it was signed.
Yeah.
Months ago.
Yes.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Local. I believe it is in the original report that was dated April 2023. It's talking about the need to have a cul-de-sac constructed for municipal road maintenance vehicles, etc., and a safe turnaround.
This is on Leach Road.
This is
Bradley Hollow.
Bradley Hollow.
Okay. That's.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can check that out. We can ask the staff to take a look at that, Dave, please. Further discussion? All in favor? Motion's carried.
Since
have
we're,
something you want
since
to
we're
say?
discussing on this, just some history with the last council is Bevan Ridge Road back in 2019 was the last one that we allowed. It used to be that all it had to be was at the approval of the Public Works manager. And then we changed the bylaw with the last council that it had to meet MTO standards and everything. It had to be designed by an engineer. It had to be checked and everything by the Public Works. So I guess my one question is that Bevan Ridge Road in 2019 was approved and it's still not done yet. So I'm wondering whether we can have Nick or either Tracy or somebody look into that. They were the last one that was allowed just to have the Public Works person go in there and say, yes, this is acceptable. I think there should be a timeline or something on this. That homeowner asked in 2019 and we're like 4 years later or something and they haven't done anything with it. They removed the trees and then they've left it. And I think it's open-ended that they think maybe forever they can go in and do it. So I'd like to maybe Tracy or Nick or somebody to be able to look into it and maybe come back with a report on Bevan Ridge Road, if possible. Or can I just make a motion that we?
Should be notice of motion because we're not discussing it, but
I'll do one. Okay, thank you.
Will. It's a very good point. And is it policy now? Are you saying that we're supposed to have an engineer do them?
Well, it used to be just that the public works manager years ago could go in there and say, yeah, you've done it properly. Now, if you actually read it, there is a policy or a bylaw that says what the standard is. It has to be like an MTO standard. It has to be designed by an engineer. You just can't have Joe Blow go in there and drop some gravel and stuff like that. That's why we made sure that it has to come up to the standards, because we're assuming those roads. And as Councillor Mary Catherine said, we want to make sure that that road's going to last for 15, 20 years before we have to put anything into it, right?
Go ahead, Dave.
Through you, Mayor Vogel. Councillor Booth is totally correct. The last two roads that we finished up with the roads department, we had our roads department people look at, and the excavator companies or the construction companies that are being hired, the construction all has to be engineer approved now so that it meets the standard. And I know the last two ones for sure that were done this past summer were. And in fact, there's another severance before us that is being finished. Part of that, to get the severance onto township property, the unassumed road has to be brought up to appropriate standards. And part of the sign off through Tracy, through our planning, is that an engineer's report has to be provided. And then our roads department staff has to sign off that it has been complete.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to get this, if everybody can hold on for a few minutes. Can we go through the few we got left before we go to close? Next one is 16.3 being a bylaw 122-2023 being a bylaw to provide the erection of stop signs at various intersections within the township of Allen and Culdum. Be resolved that bylaw 122-2023 be a bylaw to provide for the erection of stop signs at various intersections within the township of Allen and Culdum and be read and deemed to be passed this 19th day of December 2023. Mover and second. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor Booth. Do we have to take out the one that we're having?
We will make that change.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to make the change. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next we have an addendum that which with regards to the Township of Allen and Culdum and McCracken Auto and Truck Repair Incorporated for provision of snow plowing services of municipal sidewalks and walkways in the Rose Teeth area. Be resolved that council direct the acting CEO to find as soon as possible finalize. I'm sorry. Be resolved, council direct the acting CEO to finalize service agreements between the corporation of the Township of Allen and Culdum and McCracken Auto and Truck Repair Incorporated for the provisions of snow removal services of municipal sidewalks and walkways in Roseneath as soon as possible, and further that the acting CAO and clerk will forward a copy of the bylaw for this service agreements at a future council meeting. Can I get a mover and second? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. And I'll make a quick comment. The reason that we can't this is being held is because we haven't been able to get a sign off with the Krakens yet. As soon as that's done, then it'll be handled. All in favor? Carried. Next one is bylaw 124, 2023, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 62023 and set remuneration and expenses for members of council and for council members on local boards and committees or committees of council. Be it resolved that bylaw 124, 2023 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 062023 to set remuneration and expenses for members of council and for council members on local boards and or committees of council of the corporation of the township of Allen, Alderman be read and deemed to be passed this 19th day of December 2023. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Ainsworth, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Is there any discussion? Questions? All in favor? Motion's carried. Next one is bylaw number 125, 2023, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 42, 2017, bylaw 134, 2018, and 93, 2021, and set remuneration for the officers and firefighters for the Fire Rescue Department of the Corporation of Township Allen Alderman. Be resolved that bylaw 125, 2023 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 99, 2023. And to set remuneration for the officers and firefighters for the Fire Rescue Department of the Corporation of the Township of Allen Alderman be read and deemed to be passed this 19th day of December 2023. Mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Booth, seconded by Councillor Ainsworth. Any questions, comments? I have a couple. This is for this is basically for the new people for the recruit levels. And is this changed because of the
Cost of living.
pardon me?
Cost of living.
Cost of living, yeah. Is this considered into that date for 2024?
No, Mayor Lowell, it's not. This is merely just to add the recruit line and was done some time ago. And it's to recognize that those that we hire and start to train, again, they have to graduate our recruit class to then be considered a fourth class firefighter and put in service.
So, okay. So the new one for 2024 will be done when the budget's done and then we'll put them all together. Okay. Good, thank you. All in favor? That motion's carried. Okay. Announcements.
17.
17. Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry.
Notice of motion from Councillor Mary Catherine O'Neill regarding Northumberland County Affordable Housing Strategy. Request for report from acting CEO, chief building official, and senior planner. This notice of motion was properly submitted and received on December 12th. It appears on the December 19th, 2023 council agenda for notice only. It will be considered by council at the January 19th meeting.
9th.
Did I say that? January 9th, 2024 meeting. Can I get a mover in a second? Don't need a mover in a second. Oh, okay, perfect. All right, Councillor Greg Booth, any announcements?
Just a big thank you to, I was able to attend, I think, with the mayor and some other councillors on the 17th at ACC. They had the meet with Santa Claus and the Grinch and everything. So just a big thank you to Jen Steen and also to Mary Catherine and probably, was it the
Deb Ward? It was the lead on that. So it was a great event because, as you've just pointed out, there was the shoulder to shoulder work between community members, staff, council, and then early on as well participated. So it was a great event.
So to thank them all, it was a really good thing to see. I didn't get to stick around for later, but it was great seeing all the kids there. That's it. Thank you.
I would tend to agree with you. It was very good. And it was particularly nice to see Santa Claus there. Santa Claus was very busy that day. He was down at the arena for a couple of hours as well. And I think the kids appreciated it. And since this will be our last meeting of the year. I just want to wish you, your families, and everybody else a Merry Christmas, and that goes to council, staff, and the residents who are listening, and everybody else as well. So Merry Christmas and enjoy your holidays. Deputy Mayor Stover.
Thank you, Mayor Logal. I'm so happy to see that the events that happened over the weekend, and you and I were able to put our list together for Santa, because we were on the ice. We weren't skating on Sunday, but there were a lot of kids out, and it was nice to see. I'd also like to say how much I enjoyed partaking in the staff dinner last Thursday. Special thanks to Mary Catherine for taking that lead and running with it. I really appreciated that. And it was nice having lunch with everyone. And I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all the best for 2024, and looking forward to getting back at it in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Ainsworth.
Yes, to you, Mayor. So to finish off the meet and greet with Santa and the Grinch, let's not forget him. But the parade out there for it was a night parade after the meet and greet at the Civic Center. And just to reiterate some things that we talked about when it comes to communication here with council and with our residents and stuff, you know, the post I put on with all the pictures and stuff of the Santa Claus parade on the Roseneath and the Grafton resident site. I mean, it got a lot of conversation going about communications. You know, some people said, I've lived here for 10 years and I didn't even know that was happening. So just to, you know, some people just, you know, may not know those sites are out there that we're posting on and showing what's going on, the township Facebook page, that kind of stuff. So there's many avenues that we just need to, you know, investigate, you know, even in our strategic planning when it comes to communication, that just there's people are just not getting the information as many times as you put it out there. So, but you can see that a small post like that created quite a few conversations about it. So.
Good. Thank you. Your Catherine?
When you come last, all your steam's been taken before you get to talk, but wishing everyone on council, on staff, and our residents a good holiday season and hopefully a wonderful 2024.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. Okay, I've got it being 12:19 p.m. I think we're ready to take a break for lunch. So if I get a mover and a seconder, moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Booth.
Are we gonna go? And then break for lunch?
You can do that. That's better.
Just a suggestion,
Yeah,
because
that's
I know
probably
there is
better.
some
That's a good
timelines
suggestion.
that were, yeah.
Okay, well, can I get a motion to go into close? Moved by Deputy Mayor Stover, seconded by Councilor Ainsworth. Any further discussion? Okay. As per the clerk, we'll do it proper one, the motion to recess to a closed session that the council of the Township of Allen will be recessing to a closed session under section 239 to consider 5 items. The personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal employees, regarding performance assessment of the acting CAO and another employee, labor relations or employee negotiations regarding review of a compressed work week, and under section 239-31 to consider 2 items. Education or training session regarding the council resident communications strategic plan and the strategic plan, and that the acting CAO, fire chief, CEMC, the clerk, the payroll and HR coordinator, and the deputy clerk will remain in attendance. And we'll do that at 12:21 p.m. Mover and seconded. Moved by Councilor Ainsworth, seconded by Councilor Booth. All in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you, council. We are going to move into open, and I need a motion to rise and report from closed. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor O'Neill, and seconded by Councillor Booth. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Alma-Colman reconvene to the open session of council meeting at 2:47 p.m. Further, that the confidential resolutions moved in the closed session regarding personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal employees, regarding performance assessment of the acting CAO and another employee, and that labor relations of employee negotiations, reviewing of the compressed work week, and under section 239 3.1 to consider 2 items: educational or training sessions regarding council resident communications strategic plan are hereby referred to in this open session of council for adoption. I should also mention that Mayor Local had to step out, so I'll be stepping in here as I am doing at the moment. I'd like to do this council resolution, and it is the approval of the confirming bylaw. Oh, I forgot the essential part. Is that all in favor? Thank you. So we will do the approving of the confirming bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw number 126-2023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the planning regular session meeting of council held on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, be read and deemed passed this 19th day of December, 2023. And a mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor O'Neill first, and Councillor Booth. Thank you so much. And the vote. Thank you. And one more, a council resolution. We need a motion to adjourn. Be it resolved that the planning regular session of council on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, be adjourned at 2:51 p.m. Mover and seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Ainsworth. Seconder, Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, everyone.